Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee with a Counselor, graduation edition. Go ahead and grab a cup of coffee, hot chocolate, tea, whatever your drink of choice is. Once again, I'll be going with the cold brew today. Pour yourself a mug, get comfortable, and we'll chat. It occurred to me after Tuesday's session that I forgot to introduce myself, so I wanted to start there today. My name is Jennifer, and I'm on the school-based team for North Range Behavioral Health. And today we're going to be talking about the grief and loss associated with losing major senior year milestones from the perspective of parents, guardians, anybody who identifies themselves as a support person for a graduating senior of this year. So get comfortable, sit back, and let's chat. So on Tuesday, we talked about the 12-year educational career and how it builds up to our senior year. How from the moment we first enter our kindergarten classroom, we are working towards graduation and everything that comes before it. We get excited about our senior theater performances, our senior sports nights, senior prom, pranks, ditch day, and of course, graduation and the graduation ceremony. Tuesday, we talked about how our seniors have lost the opportunity to make these memories, to engage in these tangible moments of victory and accomplishment and pride that hold so much symbolism and power in our life. Seniors are not the only people who have lost these moments. You as parents and family members and people who just love and care about your senior students have also lost these moments. So you may also be experiencing grief associated with these losses. As a parent, you've lost the opportunity to take senior prom pictures, to have that moment when your kid comes out all ready for prom where it's just like, wow, when did they grow up? When did they get so beautiful or so handsome? We lose the moment to see that costume that we stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning helping them fix, go out on stage. All the hours playing catch and going to the batting cages, we lose the opportunity to see that practice come to life on the field. And of course, just like with the seniors, one of the most powerful losses of this year is graduation. For so many parents, graduation becomes this aha moment where we see our kid walk across the stage and we realize, and it clicks with us, this is what it's all been about. This is what we've been working towards. This is what has made every late night trying to figure out math homework that makes our head spin, or all the arguments about why were you late to this class or why didn't you make it to that class. All of that becomes worth it. And we get that tangible moment of payoff. And so as parents, we've also experienced a great loss this year. We sometimes call it a parallel process. That is to say that we have our students and their experience and their loss, and our loss is right there with it. It's like a mirrored experience. We identify and we relate to what they're going through. It's just from a different angle. And so it's important as we go through this process that we not only give our kids space to be sad and upset and feel these emotions, but that we also give ourselves that same space and that same permission. That we create a space at home where it's okay to be sad and upset and to have reactions to what is going on in the world. This does not have to be a time where we force hard lessons on our kids. We don't have to tell our kids this is the way the world works or welcome to adulthood. Because while it may be true that the world is riddled with unpredictability and at times seething in disappointment, that does not take away our kids' current experiences. It does not change the emotions that they have right now. So rather than teaching our students that the world sucks, we teach them that they are in tune with their emotions and that they are resilient beings that can persevere through hard experiences. If at one end of the spectrum we have the world is difficult, we have to deal with it. On the other end, we have that overprotective drive as a parent where we want to shield our kid from every possible bump and bruise and hurt in the world. And we want to be careful of these two extremes. Rather than trying to stop our kid from ever hitting a speed bump, we want to teach them how to safely drive over one. When we're teaching our kids how to drive, we don't have them stop the car, get out, and patch the pothole before they continue going forward. We teach them how to drive around, how to adjust to detours. Because there's going to come a time in your kid's life, and for a lot of your kids, that's going to be very soon, where they have to drive on without you. And so as a parent, we want to watch them drive away with the confidence of knowing we gave them all the skills, we gave them all the tools, and knowing that they know what to do. As a parent, you may be frustrated with your child. And I understand that that's a statement that's not limited to this point in time. However, we're going to talk about it within the context of the pandemic today. You may find yourself frustrated because you feel like you are a target for your child's irritability. You may be aware of everything that you do that's actually quite horrendous, like how you chew gum or the way that you breathe through your nose sometimes. Who does that? You may find that you just feel like you are on eggshells constantly. It's important that when we are a target for our kids' irritability, what is going on behind that? And what is going on behind that is that you are a safe person for your kid. They know that no matter what they do, no matter what they say, that you will still love them. They know that at the end of the day, you will always be there for them. So you become a person where they can put all of this negative emotion and frustration and unknown onto without fear of losing you. That does not mean that the way they're treating you is okay. That does not excuse their behavior. But when we understand what is going on behind that, we then have the opportunity to help them redirect those emotions in a more effective, healthy, interpersonal manner. And because you are a safe person, you have the ability to help them identify what are my underlying needs right now that are not being met. You may also be struggling with your teen in the sense of there's this bigger picture of the world right now. How can my kid be so focused on losing a dance when people are dying and the economy is crashing and the population is divided? And if you find yourself asking these questions, I want you to remember a few key things. The first is that the human brain does not fully develop until our mid to late 20s for the ladies and our late 20s to early 30s for the gents. And the way our brain develops is from the bottom to the top and from the back to the front, which means this part of our brain right behind our forehead, which is called our prefrontal cortex, is the last part of our brain to fully develop. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for our impulse control, our critical thinking, our judgment, our decision making. And so it starts to make sense why teenagers are all really bad at all of these things, why we were bad at all of these things when we were their age. Because we don't have those connections. It's not fully developed yet. That's not an insult or a slight to kids. It's just a developmental fact. And our children are not able to share our worldview or our perspectives because cognitively they are incapable of removing themselves from their own experience as much as we are able to as adults with fully developed brains. Their world currently exists in high school, as our world did when we were their age. So it's important that in this time, we meet our children where they are at, rather than expecting them to come to us. This may also be one of our last moments as parents to take on some of the heaviness of the world off of our children's shoulders. An opportunity for us to give them just a little bit more space and a little bit more time to breathe, to be a kid. Lastly, it's important to remember if you find yourself frustrated about the idea of they're so upset over a stupid dance, we want to remember that to our kids, this is not just a dance. Prom is a transitional, symbolic moment of closure. It's one of the last opportunities that they have to be with their full social circle in that capacity again. And it symbolizes that transition from my high school friends, my childhood friends, to the future and to new relationships and developing new connections. And so every moment and milestone that they are missing out on is so much more than just a dance or just a game. So we want to meet our kids with compassion, understanding, and grace, just as much as we want to meet ourselves with those same things. While we share in their loss as a parent or a support who is also looking forward to these moments with them, we may not be able to relate to their loss as many of us experienced these milestones. And we are either so far removed from that time in our life that we may have lost awareness of how big of a deal that time was, or we might be struggling to relate because for us that time period wasn't a big deal. Maybe prom wasn't our thing, or we didn't walk at graduation because we didn't really care. And so it's important to remember that our kids' experiences might be different than ours, and to give them permission for that to be the case. And if we're not able to relate to the big deal that some of these milestones are to our kids, I want you to think back to a time in your life where something was a big deal, like a breakup, and how that might have truly in that moment felt like the end of your world. As an adult, we have this foresight that our kids don't have. If we stick with the breakup example, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we know, okay, yeah, it was probably for the best that relationship didn't work out for us. But our kids do not have the foresight that we do. And so it's important that we try and stay away from things like, in the scheme of things, it's not a big deal. 20 years from now, you won't really worry about this. Those statements aren't helpful because our kids don't have that foresight. They don't know that it's not a big deal. They don't know that everything is going to be okay right now. They don't have the years of life experience that we do. They don't have these other grand moments where they were able to recognize that things worked out the way that they needed to. Our seniors are 17, 18, 19 years old. And as we all know, for those of us that are over that age, when we turn 18 and graduate high school, there's not some magical bestowment of this wealth of knowledge that we need to be successful, thriving adults. There is still so much to learn and so much to figure out. And the way we learn those things and the way we figure those things out are through life experiences. They're through hardships and joys, successes and failures. And so we want to leave this time and these experiences and these losses open to our kids so that they can learn what we know. So whether we're struggling to relate to our kids or we're struggling because of how much we relate to our kids, it's important that we create a space at home where we're promoting open and honest dialogue and conversations with one another and healthy and effective coping for the emotions that are coming up, either for us or for them or both. So next Thursday, we'll start to discuss ways that you as a parent or a support can cope with your own challenges, as well as strategies for how you can help your student cope as well. Thank you for taking a break with me again today. I hope to see you back next week, and in the meantime, take care of yourself and each other, and remember that we here at North Range are here to help. If you or someone you know is experiencing a behavioral health crisis, please don't hesitate to reach out to our crisis counselors. You can call them at 970-347-2120 and press 2 to speak to crisis services. You can text TALK, T-A-L-K, to 38255, or you can walk into our crisis services building at 928 12th Street in Greeley, Colorado. Again, thank you for taking a break with me, and I'll see you next time.